that we love to talk about is AI, artificial intelligence. It may seem like something you hear in the news a lot, but most of us don't recognize how much of a significant issue this is for our lives. It has to do with our employment, has to do with our money, has to do with our savings. And while, everybody has, anecdotal or cliches about how it's going to take our job or make us less money, there's more to it than that. We're going to dive in and see on the surface what to be worried about, but also behind the scenes what might be, um, secret risks to our lifestyle and our money. So we start out with the obvious, right? Everybody knows artificial intelligence is going to affect the job market. How much is it going to affect the job market? Well, according to Goldman Sachs, one of the largest investment companies, they have to put their money where their mouth is. They're predicting 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded. 300 million jobs. Sounds like a lot. And even if your job, you could say, is immune from being lost to AI. Maybe it is, right? Maybe, you are a tow truck driver. Maybe you operate heavy equipment. Very unlikely artificial intelligence is going to take your job immediately. However, it could affect your job or degrade your job because, for example, if you are an excavator operator and you run an excavator and dig out trenches for construction of commercial property. If AI is going to take over 300 million white collar jobs, they may not need any commercial property. So you have to look down the food chain to find out where your work actually goes to. If it goes to something that AI is going to eliminate, it could be a problem. You could say, well, it's never going to take my job. I'm a hot dog vendor. I have a hot dog cart. Well, that's great. If you're a hot dog vendor in New York City and all the office buildings are going to be closed because the people don't need to work there because it's AI doing their jobs, they're not going to need a hot dog vendor. So look down the food chain. There are some jobs that are more resilient, but there are many that are surprisingly under threat. And we're going to talk about what to do about it, what your plan of attack is, what you can do to prevent large scale effects on your life. And there's also a threat to your actual cash. Even if your income is not threatened, the amount of money you have in the bank, the amount of savings you have is under threat from AI. Another stat to look at is AI eliminated. This is hypothetical. This is Goldman Sachs saying this is a prediction. 300 million jobs lost or degraded. This is a fact. AI eliminated 4,000 jobs in May, according to um, Challenger Gray and Christmas, which is a large financial data company. The report said the outplacement firm showed that layoff announcements reached more than 80,000, 20% shop. Of those cuts, AI was responsible for 3,900, 5%. Now, it may be that some of these other 80,000 were secondarily affected by AI, but these are real numbers. And it's 5% of the job losses. And we're still early on in the AI marketplace. Could it affect teachers? Will artificial intelligence help teachers or replace them? And we'll look at some facts that go into how artificial intelligence will creep into the educational system. So what is AI, first of all? Well, it's not a robot. It's not a sentient being. It's a system that takes information that's already out there, already existing in the internet, and regenerates it. It's called regenerative AI, and puts it into a format that's more humanly digestible. For example, you're watching this video, but this is a one-way conversation. You can't ask the video a question. This video can't address your specific scenario. If you want that, you can click on the link, actual human, and talk to an actual human. But AI, what it does is it will take what's called a prompt from you. You will type in a question, a statement, a prompt, And based on the context of that prompt, and you have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to have the prompt address the system the right way, it will go and it will gather up information instantly from all different relevant sources. And that's the key word. What are the relevant sources? And return to you the answer to your question. Then you can ask it a follow up question and it will do the same thing. It doesn't have the same human instincts like emotional intelligence, context, mood, picking up on vibes, reading between the lines. It doesn't do that, but it is a way to transform information. And in this article about teaching, there's a very um, kind of insightful picture. It has three students in front of a hologram teacher that's talking, presumably teaching, and it's got some graphs and some formulas on the board, and it's teaching students. And what this article says is at some point, AI can do a lot of the teaching. Now, it does say that an actual teacher may still need to be part of the process to answer questions or to operate the AI. But think about it. Class size has always been an issue with parents and students and educational environments. But educational systems are a metaphor for the bigger picture. Instead of having one teacher in front of 15 or 20 students, you could have 15 or 20 students, again, sitting in front of a technology presentation like this. And now it probably wouldn't be this kind of cartoon robot, right? It would probably be more conversational, maybe a more human looking presenter, but it'll have, automatic responses. And you could ask questions of this teacher and it will give answers. Certainly, someone will need to oversee it. There'll be a teacher, but it may not be one teacher for 15 or 20 students. It may be one teacher that is monitoring 10 classrooms. And why would that happen? Well, first of all, there's a teacher shortage already. Second of all, the teachers that are out there are already having difficulty keeping up with the curriculum. There's already a strain on that employment. You can extrapolate that to many other jobs. It's hard to find employees in many categories of jobs, and the ones you do find maybe don't have as much experience, don't have as much prior knowledge. They have to be trained. So, like AI stepping in, it may not eliminate existing jobs, but it may truncate and put a block on any new job creation at first. If a company is looking to increase its business, to expand its business, instead of adding new employees, it might say, well, gee, how can we use AI to keep the same number of employees and get more growth from our existing staff, our existing workforce, right? And workforce will gradually reduce by attrition. Somebody moves, they retire, they leave, what have you, and they can use AI to fill in those gaps. It's happening already. One of the other reasons for having AI is it makes management easier. Now, granted, this next article is a little bit controversial, comes from a source that is, biased towards a certain perspective. So don't focus too much on the source, but it's talking about education via AI to rule as giants. And it's saying that there's more of a coordinated, I guess you call it conspiracy behind the scenes. And it talks about Evolution, which is a company that provides resources for educational. The purpose of Evolution, an online news employer about GPAs and community specialized trained employees. They want employees whose life will be dedicated 100% to being an employee. Also, in preparation for the shift, the push for AI pre-program means educating children is making rampant headway. In this scenario, the role of a teacher will be to guide students through difficulties they have with their AI assisted trainer. So really, the teachers are AI. The actual, or I'm sorry, AI are the teachers. The actual person is just like a guidance counselor, right? Students can still go to school if they want to, but if they go to school, they'll sit down with their computer learning kit. No other interaction is necessary unless there is a glitch. AI training is preferred Grades are eliminated. AI will determine your career based on its knowledge of you, not your choice, but what AI wants. And some of that will be dictated by the corporations, what kind of jobs they need, right? You can't choose, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a doctor. AI is going to say, no, this is what you should do. And they may steer your education towards that. Again, this news source has a um, particular agenda. Whether you agree with it or not doesn't matter. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying this is what evolution does. Evolution, this company declares the AI trainer assigned to you will evolve as it gets to know your responses. It is not simply an online class with pantless or virtual professors. It will be more like matching your skill level at grade 5, dividing and subdividing children into various groups based on abilities, interpersonal contact. We're talking about education and teaching, but this applies to many other industries. If a company needs to have a staff to do a certain job, the people within that company are there to help shepherd the AI and be tools of the AI. They're help, there's one or two oversight management type people that will help tweak and tune and steer the AI. And there may be a few more people that are tools of the AI, things that people, humans, actual humans need to do. Talk to customers, maybe, sign a form, something that requires an actual human. The AI will use those as extensions of itself. And there may be a couple of leadership people that the AI reports to. Either way, it's going to reduce the workforce. Now, what happens culturally and socially with those people and how you make a living and income and support, that's a whole nother issue. That's not really the point of this. But it is something that for you to be concerned about. How do you prepare yourself for that eventuality where there's AI that's either taking your job or degrading your job? Remember, that was the key word in that first article, degrading your job. Degrading by definition means you're going to make less money, right? It's going to make the job more tedious, boring, and probably less financially lucrative. It's not going to pay you as much. What do you do in that light? We'll talk about that momentarily. And also, there's an insidious attack on your money. If you have $10, $10,000, $10 million sitting in the bank, there are some AI forces that are out there trying to get that money. And these are frauds and scams that have been out there for decades, even longer. But AI is exaggerating those and multiplying those to where you almost can't escape them. In the past, you could evade them because there's more people than there were scams. Now these scams are getting much, much bigger. So when we get back, we are going to talk about exactly that. We're going to talk about those scams and avoiding those, but also what steps you can take in your life to not be threatened, not be at risk, not be in danger of AI taking away your livelihood, taking away your lifestyle, and being in a stronger place so that when it does come, you're better off for it. Because remember, when this does happen, the powers that be, government, companies, they're going to have to create something to replace that income. They're not going to let people just starve in the streets, although there's an argument to be made that they already do that. But they will have to put some kind of support system in. If you could be benefiting from that support system and have some other viable income, that would be a good thing. So we're going to talk about those two things in a moment when we come back. We'll take a quick break, and we'll see you in less than a minute. All right, we're back again. And here's something that we see a lot in our investigative division. You see the link below, Active Intel. That's our licensed private investigative agency. And what we deal with in that agency are mostly things like corporate embezzlement, scams, frauds, asset searches. And one of the things that we've seen for really now going on 3.5 years is a proliferation of online scams. And what these scams are is there are fraudsters all over the world, some in the US, some in other countries, that will attack people by convincing them to send them money. And you might say, well, I would never do that. But here's the thing, they're very clever, they're very insidious. They do it in a way that you almost don't realize it's happening. And here's an example of a story where a tech executive, so this isn't an unsophisticated person, they're a smart person. They know their way around. They're pretty smart. They're intellectual. They were scammed out of $450,000. And this process is called pig butchering. You may have heard of it. We'll talk more about it. And they lost $450,000. This was July 2nd, this week. Another article from NBC News. Online romance scams are netting millions of dollars and pushing some to self-harm. Scams that once built victims out of hundreds or thousands of dollars are now getting them to move their retirement accounts into phony investment schemes, right? And this also came out July 2nd. This person lost $250,000, and some of them are more. How do these work? Well, here's what happens. And here's how AI is related to this and how AI gets involved with this. So you're minding your own business, you're online, you're playing on Facebook, maybe you're reading Instagram, maybe you're on WhatsApp, text messaging, some YouTube channel, what have you. And there will be a person, or maybe more than one person, that will contact you on a very social, friendly kind of inquiry. And they'll say, hey, I see you're on this sewing club, book club, something that's obvious from your profile. Maybe you're on LinkedIn. And what they'll do is they'll start a social conversation with you. It won't be anything about money. They'll express interest in your lifestyle. They'll be part of a group. They'll read your posts and they'll ask you questions about what you do. They'll find you on other social media and do what's called triangulation. If they see that you're in a sewing club, but on some other social media group, you would like horses, in the sewing club, they'll be like, oh, really? I really like horses. And you're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. This person is just like me. And this will go on for days or weeks or months. And you won't even notice anything about it. It'll just seem like a very appealing conversation, very appealing relationship to have. Some of these will then migrate to the romantic, where it'll be like they're represented to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or they want to date you. And they'll extend that conversation. So now, over the course of days, weeks, or months, they'll build up this level of familiarity, trust, rapport, where you've shared a lot of things with them. They've shared things with you. They're doing intel on you behind the scenes. They're doing research on you, on your other social media, on your LinkedIn. Anywhere that you have activity, they will be doing intelligence gathering, and they'll be using that to get more deep and rich conversations with you. Why is that important? Because at some point, they're going to spring the trap. And that's why it's called pig butchering. That part is where they're fattening up the pig, and then they go for the clothes. And what that person will do, and we'll get to how AI affects this too, because AI is a big part of this. And AI is going to make this profoundly more dangerous to the everyday person in the next 6 to 8 months. They're going to spring a trap, and all of a sudden you'll see a message on a social media platform that this person is on. It'll be a message maybe directly directed to you or in general to the group, and it'll be a picture of them indulging in some very luxury event. Maybe they're on a private jet. Hey, I'm going to Fiji. Or in a high-end restaurant. Hey, I'm enjoying this lobster dinner. Or maybe on vacation. Look at me at this resort, right? Or in a high-end car. Look at me driving this Rolls Royce. And they'll have a photo. They'll have a, very elaborate visual representation. And they'll say, congratulate me on my big windfall from my investment. Congratulate me on making all this money from, this deal I did or something. And it'll be a little bit of a teaser. And in many cases, the luxury event that they have will be related to something that you are attracted to. If, let's say, you are a horse enthusiast, they'll say, look at me, congratulate me on my big profit from my investment. Here I am buying a new thoroughbred horse. And there'll be a picture of them in front of a horse. Or if you are into classic cars, congratulate me on my investment win. Um, I'm buying my dream car, my '69 Camaro SS Z28. Right? They'll have something that'll relate to you, and they'll catch your attention, and you'll be a little jealous and envious. But since this is a person who's kind of a friend, so to speak, virtual friend, remote friend, but somebody that you know about, you're going to be congratulating them. You'll have a little bit of jealousy, but you're going to be like, this is great. You can live vicariously through them. And they may post another one a couple of days later, but they're not going to ask you for any money. At some point, your curiosity will get the better of you, and you're going to ask them, hey, by the way, what was this big investment? Because here's what you're going to think. You're going to think, here's this person who's just like me, likes the same thing as I do, talks the same way I do, runs in the same circles I do. I know them. This is somebody you feel like you know. It's not like somebody fantasy distant relative or celebrity. It's somebody you know that has this big windfall and has this dream event acquisition or whatever it is that you wish you had, because they know how to pull the strings, push your buttons. And you may ask them, well, gee, what was this big thing? Because you're thinking in your head, gee, if they could do it, then why the heck can't I do it? I should be able to do this too. And if you don't take the bait and ask that question, they'll keep dropping hints, maybe even a week later. Man, I can't wait to do another one of these investments, right? They know what words to say. And remember, you might not think you'll fall for this, but these are people that all they do in life is they learn and think and practice how to craft the words to kind of put you in the ether. It's almost like hypnotic, what they say. It's almost like a Jedi mind trick. They know exactly what to say to get you to react a certain way. They're experts at this. That's their whole job. It's all they need to know how to do. As much as you can swear up and down it would never happen to you, I can tell you right now, we talk to a dozen or so plus people a day who have been victims of this, and they're all sophisticated attorneys, accountants, doctors, regular people that fall victim because they didn't think that that's what was happening. These people are insidious that commit these frauds. So anyways, back to the story. And you ask them, well, gee, how did you do it? Well, it doesn't really matter. We're just friends. And they'll kind of blow you off. They'll play hard to get. And eventually they're going to say, well, it was this investment thing that I did for real estate or for cryptocurrency or for bonds or something that I just got into. Luckily, friend told me about it, and man, it worked out good. And you're going to ask, well, gee, how can I get in on it? And they're going to even play more hard to get. Well, I don't know if you can. It's like a closed thing and they don't have any new opportunities. They'll keep playing hard to get, eventually to get you to beg your way in to this thing. And if it seems like you're fading a little bit, they'll put more pictures of their classic car. If you're fading a little bit, they'll put more pictures of their vacation, right? Or they know what to say to you. And eventually you're going to ask, well, how can I get in on it? And they're going to say, well, I don't really know. I mean, this is the person who does it. It has nothing to do with me. Contact this person, Joe Schmo, and they'll give you an email or a phone number or WhatsApp. And you'll contact them and they say, well, we really don't have any opportunities. Again, they're going to start out slow, hard to get, and like reverse psychology. And they'll say, well, we can start out small, right? We'll let you put in a $200 investment or a $500 investment, something relatively small. So you send these people this money, a few $100s, and it's really not a big risk. It's almost 100% guarantee you're going to send the money after everything you've been through, after this 6 months talking to this person and seeing this person have this huge windfall and them playing hard to get. It's not a high pressure sales. It's not pushy. It doesn't seem like salesy that you have to push back against and avoid. You have to beg your way in. So now you send them $300 or $400 or $500. And then at the end of the month, they send you a statement that shows your money doubled. You sent in $400, now you have $982. Wow, man, this thing works. And then they're going to say, yeah, your investment worked. We have another one opening up exclusive in a couple weeks. We can probably let you do a little bit more this time, maybe 1,500. And you're going to ask, well, can I do more if it's going to double? See where it's going, right? And eventually they're going to ask for more and more money, and they're going to keep showing you statements, monthly statements showing your money is growing, You put in a total of 3,500, your statement might say $10,000. You tripled your money in 2 or 3 months. And they're going to say, we have this another opportunity. It's going to be a big one this time. It's a lot bigger. Um, but the minimum is 5,000. Put in 5,000 or 10,000. They're going to be able to feel you out, because behind the scenes, remember, they're doing intel on you. They're going to find how much money you have. They're going to look up your real estate. They're going to look up your lifestyle. They can guess using algorithms and different tools about how much money you probably have. And they're going to keep asking you for money, keep asking you for money. And eventually you're going to keep sending money. Depending on how good they are, you might send them all the money you have saved up. Then you might start transferring retirement accounts. You're going to look at your 401k and say, my 401k only went up 5% a year, 7% a year. This goes up 100% in 3 months. Boom, send my money, send my 200,000, double that money. That'll get me closer to retirement. Again, you're thinking, I would never fall for that. I believe that right now you don't believe that you would, but these people are insidious. And look, many people wouldn't fall for it, right? The ones who don't are lucky, because they didn't get a good, these people, they put you in the ether. They hypnotize you. So now what happens? After some period of time, you say, well, I have enough money. I want to start taking money out. And you tell them you want to withdraw some or all of your money. And you're going to get an answer like, well, you have to pay taxes on it. So if you have $400,000 in it, it's a 20% tax. So you have to send in 80,000 to get your money out. Or there's an accounting fee or an audit fee. They make up all these different fees. And you might send the money in. Now they have more of your money. Or you might not and say, well, this is a scam. Just take it out of what I already have. And now you're going to get into the confrontational phase where you're realizing that there's something wrong with this deal. And you're not getting your money out. So now what do you do? Well, now you can do investigations. You can do an asset search. You can do fraud things. That's not really the point. The point is, how does AI make this worse? Well, the biggest cost, the biggest obstacle or friction to this being bigger than it is the tedious work and time it takes for these scammers, these fraudsters, to do all the research, to do all the messaging, to do all of the intel gathering. And they spend a lot of time doing it. These are full-time big companies. They have dozens or hundreds of employees. They have organizational structure. This isn't just some mom and pop sitting in a basement. They have an organized system, but it takes a lot of time. We're looking through social media, LinkedIn, emails, right, to figure out the right way to do it. Well, now that they can use AI can now craft and write the emails. Look, if it was just a spam email that said the same thing to 1,000 people, that'd be easy. You write it once and you spam it out to 1,000 people. These emails that go to the victims have to be very, very carefully crafted for each victim. Takes work, takes time. So there's a limit on how many they can do, because they also don't get everybody to fall for it, right? If they send it out to 1,000 people, they might get 5, they might get 10, they might get 20, depending on how good they are. So it takes a lot of time. Well, now that they can use AI to write these emails specifically for you, to do all the research, instead of doing 1,000 in a week, they could do 100,000 in a week. You may have never received one of these inquiries or seen this show up on your social media, or never been exposed to it or threatened by it. But now that AI is enabling them, magnifying them, leveraging them to do more, that same operator, instead of doing 1,000 in a week, might be able to do 10,000 or 100,000 in a week. Look, we saw an ad placed for a marketing advertising agency. This has nothing to do with a scam. This is just showing you the multiple, who said, we're looking for a new employee to write articles for our agency. You have to know how to run and operate AI. You have to know how to manage AI. The expected output for that new employee was 250 articles per week. Now, writing an article for a marketing company, a marketing agency, in the past, you wrote maybe 3 to 4 articles a day. That was your expected production. So 3 or 4 a day, take 4, take times 5 days. That's 20 articles a week that a typical marketing person, even a journalist, even if you look at a reporter, they write maybe 15, 20 articles a week. If you run AI, they're expecting you to write 250 articles a week. That's more than 10 times. The same multiple applies to these scams. If the scammer could maybe do 1,000 a week, now they can do 100,000 a week, 10,000 a week, right? It's more likely to get to you or somebody that you know or somebody that you care about. So there's two things you need to do for AI. One is prevent the loss, but now let's circle back to the employment side. What do you do to prepare yourself for a social environment, a societal construct where AI is taking over jobs? Well, first, learn how to run it yourself. If there's going to be need for employees in a company, it's going to be people that know how to run it. Secondly, use it yourself. Any small little work from home, virtual side gig business, whatever you want to call it, that you could do before might take a lot of time to get up and running. You can now use AI tools to really set up a little business. It doesn't have to be that big. In fact, don't try to make it that big. Don't try to start a multi-million-dollar business from your home. Work on creating a business that generates $400 a month, $500 a month, anything, $200 a month, right? Start with something very small. All you're trying to do is create some platform of your own dedicated, selfish income, being self-sufficient for some amount, a few $100. Doesn't have to be a lot. What it does is it proves to yourself that you can do this. Second of all, it'll get you through the initial process of getting that thing up and running, because for some period of time, that new little business you have is going to be zero. Month 1, month 2, month 3, 0. Month 4, month 5, 0, right? At some point, there'll be something. Remember when you used to go to a store, small little mom and pop store or restaurant or, shop, bike shop, whatever it is? What's right behind the cash register? You know what it is. It's that dollar bill. It's the first dollar bill that store made. The cliche is that's the most important dollar we ever make because it's the first one. It breaks the ice. Business is hard. Creating a business that makes actual money is difficult. The first dollar you make is important. If you create a virtual home-based AI business, getting to that first dollar or $50 or $100 is crucial, because that proves it's now a business. It's not a hobby. It's not something you're wasting your time on. It's going to take some effort to figure out how business works and how to make it profitable. Look, everybody complains about the fact that the boss gets all the benefit from all the workers doing the work. That's true. But the boss has one important job that the workers can't do: figuring out how to construct the business. You're right. If you work in a factory making leather belts, that factory can't exist without you stamping out and cutting the belts. That's true. But on the other hand, you would not be able to make a living just making belts if there wasn't a factory and a company that had gone out and creating the machines and, most importantly, creating the market. You can make all the belts you want, but if nobody wants to buy them, then it's a waste of time, right? The biggest risk to a company is the market risk of who's going to buy my stuff. And it's hard to do. And to their credit, bosses of companies have to figure that out. And if they don't, they're out of business, right? So who's more valuable in a company? Worker, boss, management? Subject for a whole nother conversation. But the important thing is, if you want to be in the same place as that boss person, manager person, do it yourself on a smaller scale. The other thing is, you get one step closer to preventing being eliminated or degraded or erased from AI. Because if you start out making a couple $100 a month, then you double it to $400 a month, and then after a year you double that and it's $1,000 a month. See where you're going? Now you have some income. And whether or not your job gets eliminated or not, you still have that income. Hey, look, if you want to retire at age 65, if you've built something up for the last 10 years that now makes you $2,000 a month, that retirement's a lot easier, because no matter how much you save up, there's a finite amount of time when that's going to last. If you saved up $1 million, and you have $1 million sitting in the bank and you're age 65 and you want to retire. Well, how long are you going to live? Maybe 90. That's 25 years, right? How long does $1 million last you for 25 years? How long do you think? Well, let's do the math on a calculator, right? So you take $1 million and you divide it by 25 years. That gives you $40,000 a year. You're probably spending more than $40,000 a year right now. And if you have put in money to your retirement in a 401k or something that's tax free when you put the money in, you have to pay tax when you take it out. So that $40,000 you take out, you have to pay tax on. That means you're probably only taking out $32,000. Try to live on $32,000 as a retired person. That's like $3,000 a month, right? But what if you had another $2,000 coming in from this other business you built up? Now you got $5,000 a month. Can you live on that in retirement? Maybe, maybe not, right? If you're making $80,000 or $90,000 a year now after taxes, it's about equal. So having that extra money prepares you for AI. It prepares you for retirement. It gives you power so that if your job does change and you want to go a few months, maybe looking for another job and not have to jump into something because you're living paycheck to paycheck, it gives you that power. And that's what we're talking about, is power in the marketplace. So put your comments below. Let us know what you think about AI. Is it coming for your job? Is AI going to take your job? Do you think AI should be teachers? Have you had anybody that has been a victim of one of these scams or not?
Are you tired of automated systems and chatbots when you need assistance? Experience actualhuman.com and connect with real professionals, not automation. At actualhuman.com, we bring you a network of professionals who are excited to answer your questions and provide guidance. Getting started is easy. Let us show you how. Here's how it works. Step 1. Select the best date and time for your video call. Step 2. Describe your situation and the areas you're looking for advice. Step 3. Connect one-on-one with an expert and get the undivided attention that you deserve. Experience the difference. Visit